Welcome to K-State Research and Extension's Civil Rights Training for board members and volunteers. Annual civil rights training is required for everyone making decisions or carrying out actions on behalf of extension programs. The term diversity symbolizes our human differences, and no matter how you define it, the United States is one of the most demographically diverse nations in world history. Diversity goes beyond race, ethnicity, and gender. Diversity can be found in every community across the state. Family structures, socioeconomic status, religion, age, disability, and a host of other factors. It's our obligation to make sure everyone has equal access to extension programs and resources. As a federally funded program, the foundation of Extension's civil rights policies and procedures is in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and subsequent acts. Discrimination can take many forms, and while not all discrimination is intentional, it is hurtful. Discrimination may occur if a person is denied benefits or services provided under a program, they're provided a benefit that is different or is provided in a different manner from that provided to others, or they are subjected to segregation or treated differently because they belong to a certain group, or if they are restricted from taking part in or enjoying any benefit that is enjoyed by others. Discrimination may result in disparate treatment, which occurs when someone is treated differently because they belong to a certain group, or disparate impact, which occurs when an action or rule has different outcomes for different groups of people. Extension programs must be conducted following key tenets of civil rights compliance. These tenets are: we provide programs and services without discrimination. We do not provide services or collaborate with agencies or organizations who discriminate. We notify the public of their right to receive programs and services without discrimination and their right to complain if they feel that discrimination has occurred. We proactively plan to reach underserved audiences. We document our civil rights efforts, and those efforts are reported on a regular basis. Boards and staff regularly evaluate the success of outreach efforts and adjust as necessary. A very basic way to prevent discrimination and provide access to all is to provide information about the availability of extension programs and services to all people who would be interested in our programs or who might benefit from them. We can let people know about their right to access extension programs and services through our flyers, websites, social media, mailing, newspaper, radio, and other available outlets in the community. To be successful at reaching underserved audiences, we must use targeted outreach through media, personal invitations, community events, and partner organizations to advertise our programs to audiences that do not traditionally use extension programs and services. When advertising our programs, we need to use language, photos, and graphics to convey the message of non-discrimination by using neutral language and graphics that depict a diversity in race, gender, age, ability, and more. We should advertise our programs in languages other than English when appropriate. And if there are not resources to help with translation of materials or programs in your local community, be sure to reach out for resources from the university. We use the And Justice for All poster to advise potential clients that we don't discriminate. We display this in county offices and regular meeting locations as well as making sure this information is available during our programs. We also advise clientele that we don't discriminate by including the non-discrimination statement on all printed materials. Additionally, we need to inform other groups and collaborators of our non-discrimination policy and our inability to provide significant assistance to any groups that discriminate. As agents and program development committees work together to design extension programs, we should avoid segregating certain groups or supporting clubs that limit membership to a certain protected class of people. Everyone who works or volunteers for K-State Research and Extension in whatever capacity must be committed to upholding the true spirit and intent of our non-discrimination statement in our words as well as our actions, and to follow civil rights policies. Data collection and reporting is important. K-State Research and Extension is required to collect data on the race, ethnicity, and gender of our program participants by asking them to self-report this information. This data helps us to determine if our potential audience is actually using our services, reveals if certain groups are not receiving services, and helps us to improve our outreach efforts to underserved groups. Extension boards should annually review the demographic makeup of the local unit and compare that with the demographics of program participants to identify potential underserved audiences. Underserved audiences may be of a particular gender, race, or ethnicity, but they may also be identified by socioeconomic status, age, religion, or other identifier. Your board and PDCs should discuss potential underserved audiences and develop a plan for including them in extension programs. Those who successfully reach underserved audiences consider cultural or ethnic differences when planning programs. Often this means conducting programs in ways we may have not used in the past, such as virtually or by taking programs directly to the audience we want to reach. A proven way to make sure we're considering cultural differences is to increase participation on program development committees and the Extension Board by members of underrepresented groups. K-State Research and Extension and our local units are required to make reasonable accommodations to create access to those with disabilities or limited English proficiency. Agents should follow accommodation request protocols when a request for such accommodation is received. As we strive toward including all audiences in our programs, it's important to be aware of and remove potential barriers that may affect participation. We often have to change our traditional methods and practices to reach new audiences. Participation barriers can include physical location, language, program delivery methods, lack of technology, or negative attitudes toward a certain group that might make them feel unwelcome. Cultural barriers can limit participation by certain groups. Examples of such barriers include scheduling events that conflict with major religious or ethnic holidays, having programs at locations foreign or uncomfortable to certain populations, or activities that include food or activities that are insensitive to religious or cultural dietary or behavioral restrictions. Economic barriers can limit or exclude participation for many people. Programs that require extensive purchases of equipment or supplies, involve fees, meals, travel, or necessitate childcare, can have significant adverse effects on ability to participate. Developing relationships with the intended audiences is one of the best ways to learn about and break participation barriers. People who believe they have been discriminated against have the right to file a complaint with K-State Research and Extension or the United States Department of Agriculture Most civil rights complaints are actually customer service issues, such as claims of rudeness, impatience, lack of understanding, or compassion, and as much as possible, we want these matters resolved at the local level. However, all formal complaints should be forwarded to Extension Administration. If a client reports unfair treatment they perceive to be based on any of the protected classes, or feel they've been discriminated against, and want to make a complaint, we must assist them. Immediately let Extension staff know so they can help to resolve the situation. Compliance with civil rights rules and regulations is monitored through annual civil rights reports, audits conducted every 4 years, and periodic on-site reviews by USDA. As an elected or appointed representative of the local extension program, we appreciate your help to ensure programs are available to all people within your local unit. Thank you for taking the time to complete this learning module and your service to K-State Research and Extension.